I am practicing my driving technique every day until I'm faster than Max Verstappen. The track that I'm practicing at is Portimao. I'm using the Ferrari 296 GT3. I'm using a fixed setup for this car, specifically the Challenge setup, the same one that is used for the Ferrari Challenge. And these are my settings for the weather and the track condition. So after a few days of break, I started practicing again. It is now day 21. I again increased my brake bias after having the past week having it lower. My reasoning behind this was that I was truly feeling that even though I was getting a lot of rotation on entry, I was overheating my tires too much, and then I didn't have grip for the exit. So I decided to put my brake bias up to 49.7 to try and get a bit more grip for the exit of the corner, so that in initial turning I don't stress out the rear tires too much. Unfortunately, even after doing this change, I did not see any progress in my lap times. I would only be able to keep up with the lap times that I had done previously. This in and of itself was important to me because I could see that even with the different brake bias that I was using, I can still do the same lap time. Again, this is really confusing because I was thinking that making these drastic changes would cause me to change my lap time a lot, but here's proof that if you do not drive properly, you end up doing the same laps as before. I kept grinding on day 22, and I decided, after doing a couple of laps with a 49.7 brake bias, I decided to increase my brake bias just a little bit to see maybe I can get a bit more grip on the exits when I accelerate. It was a little bit better, and I could see that in my delta being green a couple of times, so I had almost done a pretty good lap, but unfortunately it was invalid, so it didn't really count. But there was a glimpse of hope at that point that if I move on with the same type of driving style and maybe with the same brake bias, I could be up to something pretty good. On day 23, I had a break, so I didn't really use the sim for a couple of days. And after going back into it, I had forgotten which brake bias I was using before. And I guess I was too lazy to check. So I ended up using a bit more brake bias this time, between the 50.3 and the 50.9. And I could see that my results were remaining consistent. I didn't really see any progress, and that's where I started becoming a little bit more frustrated again because, well, I'm in the right path, that's what I was thinking, but I had no progress. Like, what am I missing? I had no idea what I was missing at that point. It was really confusing to me, really frustrating, but I knew that there was something there because I had done better lap times before, so I just needed to find the feeling again, and maybe it was because I was off for a couple of days before going back into it. Nonetheless, I did not have any progress that day. On day 24, I increased my brake bias even more, so this time I was going to extremes and positive brake bias and more front brakes. Now, this might have been really extreme at the time, but since I was really trying and really confused and frustrated, like what I need to do extra so I can get that lap time, I was playing around with the brake bias as if that's where the lap time was hiding. But unfortunately, again, I had no progress. It was just the same things, just me getting more frustrated, really. And that also continued on day 25 with, again, no progress. And then day 26, again, nothing, still no progress. I was playing around with the brake bias, but nothing happened that was indicating that I was doing something properly. Of course, with all these changes in brake bias, it's really apparent, again, that it really doesn't matter, or at least doesn't matter to an extent, because whatever I used as a brake bias, I would do the same lap time, which meant that my driving was just bad, and I needed to fix that. But at the same time, I really wasn't sure what I needed to fix, because I was trail braking, I was steering properly, I was accelerating, I mean, everything was looking good, and I was not sure what to do. This also continued on day 27, by the way. Forgot to mention that. Guys, I just gotta share this right now because, the raw emotions that I'm feeling right now. I cannot believe that I finally dropped my lap time. This is huge for me. The amount of hours that I've been spending here to try and just gain a 10th faster, and just all of a sudden I'm so close to my goal. There are just no words. I really don't know what to say. It's incredible. Honestly, I can't describe how good I feel at the moment because of this result. It really came out of nowhere, and to be honest, I'm really not sure what I was doing right to achieve this lap time. I was just feeling the car very nicely. Like, I felt I was definitely doing something, so I'll have to look at it again to make sure I understand what. But the way I felt the car through the steering wheel felt different that time around. Like, I could feel the grip way differently from what I had previously felt on the previous days. So yes, the brake bias a little bit changed my approach, but it was mostly something else that I'm really not sure what it is yet. But what I can say is that it was a huge relief to finally be able to lower this lap time and get faster. And it just proves to me, it was a good way to prove to myself that I am capable of going faster. And I just need to make sure that I get everything right. But it's possible. And it looking possible is a big deal for me. Because there were a lot of times that I truly believed that I had reached like a wall that I would not be able to pass, and that I was just not, I was missing skills and talent that I would not be able to beat this lap time. But here we are. I'm at this point really close to my ideal lap that I want to hit. And I'm comparing this lap to a top level driver who is like in the top 0 point something %. So we're talking about, I'm trying to reach the cream of the crop at the moment, and being just 2.5 tenths away from that is huge for me. So I just need to keep on moving and try to figure out what I'm doing right and wrong to achieve this lap time again. And hopefully next time around it'll be a little bit easier and I will be able to share an even faster lap time with you guys. But we'll see. But very, very happy with this result. I'm so relieved that this happened. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.